My love for animals was just innate and so strong. I declared to my whole class, I'm going to start a farm sanctuary when I grow up. That took about, let me think, maybe 30, 40 years before it actually happened. So a little over 7 years, maybe closer to 8 years ago, my husband and I knew that we wanted a lot of land. We found some property and initially rescued 2 horses that were unfortunately going to slaughter, but we saved them. Their names are Tatanka and Maisie. Ask that you, first and foremost, do no harm. You do not exploit the animals in any way, such as wearing leather, silk, honey, selling any of those products if you have a sanctuary, never allowing your animals to have come into harm. They are under your care and you are responsible for them. You look out for them and take care of them to the best of your ability. That includes their everyday needs such as food, water, shelter, veterinary care. If you have animals that require it, having farrier visits.
Welcome to the Better Life for Animals podcast, where we amplify the voices of animal advocates, sanctuaries, and changemakers working toward a kinder, more compassionate world. Through powerful stories and expert insights, we shine a light on the efforts to rescue, protect, and advocate for animals. Be sure to subscribe wherever you're watching or listening. Every follower helps us reach more people. And support animal sanctuaries. Enjoy the conversation.
Shelley Britenbucher has dreamed of running an animal sanctuary since she was a girl. There is absolutely nothing else that she would rather be doing. Her dream came true 7 years ago when, together with her husband Jeff, they established Shangri-La Animal Sanctuary in Litchfield, Ohio. Shangri-La started out rescuing and rehabilitating senior dogs, and they have since expanded offering love and care to farm animals, including horses, donkeys, and cows. Shelley, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Take us back 7 years ago when this sanctuary began in earnest. What happened to allow your dream to become a reality?
Yes, so I started thinking about having a farm sanctuary. This will age me a bit. Back in the 70s when I was in school, and I don't even think it was a thing then. My love for animals was just innate and so strong. I declared to my whole class, I'm going to start a farm sanctuary when I grow up. That took about, let me think, maybe 30, 40 years before it actually happened. So a little over 7 years, maybe closer to 8 years ago, my husband and I knew that we wanted a lot of land. We found some property and initially rescued 2 horses that were unfortunately going to slaughter, but we saved them. Their names are Tatanka and Maisie. From there, we also rescued Cisco. And Cisco is a donkey. He came from Philadelphia. He was a horrible abuse, neglect situation. What started my journey as an adult to rescue animals was just a love that I had for them ever since I was a child. I became a vegetarian first, probably 40 years ago now. And something 7 years ago, 8 years ago, woke me up and I'm like, what am I doing? And I became a vegan. From there, I realized the horrible plight of these animals. Initially, when I wanted to start the sanctuary, I thought, which it is, but, rescue all these animals and everything's going to be great. And these animals are going to be so wonderful and loving, which they are, don't get me wrong. But I realized their backstories, and never could I have imagined the backstories of these animals. So from there, it grew, and now we have close to 20 animals at the sanctuary.
Can you tell us about the tenants of Sanctuary?
Yes, the tenets of sanctuary ask that you first and foremost do no harm. You do not exploit the animals in any way, such as wearing leather, silk, honey, selling any of those products if you have a sanctuary. Never allowing your animals to have come into harm. They are under your care and you are responsible for them. You look out for them and take care of them to the best of your ability. That includes their everyday needs, such as food, water, shelter, veterinary care. If you have animals that require it, having farrier visits. And then, second of all, making sure that no harm comes to them ever again. They're under your care for life. If you find that you cannot take care of them for whatever reason, then finding them an absolutely good home, such as another sanctuary. Tenets of sanctuary requires you to do your utmost best to take care of every single being in your care.
Do you ever find that you're rehoming any of your animals? And how do you ensure you do not? Okay.
Mm-mm. No, and it's not to say that we wouldn't. Initially, when I started the sanctuary, we thought that maybe we would foster as well as keep them. We thought that we would foster and then get them healthy enough to be adopted out to good places, to another sanctuary, safe haven. We haven't done that yet. All the animals that we've adopted, all the animals that we've rescued stay here, are and have been staying here. I don't know if we'll get into the rescue to adopt out. I fall in love with them so easily and I care about them so much. And after putting so much love and heartfelt care into them, we want to keep them and we bond with them very quickly.
That's understandable. Why don't you tell us about some of your family members that you've rescued?
Sure. So I initially started out telling you about Cisco and Tatanka.
Yes.
And they, again, were headed to slaughter. Believe it or not, that still is legal in Canada and Mexico. There is a place in Pennsylvania called End of the Line. And the way I understand it is that this person will call rescues and say, hey, I'm sending them to slaughter. If you want to save them, get here now. And that's what happened with Cisco and Tatanka and Maisie. They were Amish ponies, actually. And Maisie was quite the old gal when we got her. She was close to 32 when we rescued her. And Tatanka came with her, and he was only 11 or 12. And Maisie was a dear old gal. Tatanka was a Spitfire, and I have a reason to believe that the Amish chose to not keep him because of his personality. When we got him, I had taken him out to the pasture, and I had a halter on him and a lead rope, and my finger got caught, unfortunately, in the lead rope, and he tried to take off with me hooked to his halter. And it was such a scary moment, and I realized that he and I needed to bond and get to know each other. And I realized his fears. And from that point, how to be with him and his fears. So even now, 8 years later, he still will exhibit some of those signs in his stall, such as I'm the only one that can touch his ears and his head. Even the vet, when he comes, Tatanka is still fearful of that. Then we got Cisco. He's our donkey. He's a hoot. He came from a really bad neglect situation in Philadelphia. His hooves were overgrown. He was living in horrible pasture situation. I hesitate to say he was abused, even though he was severely neglected. I don't think there was any physical abuse with him, but I obviously consider neglect a form of abuse. So he came to us, and we had those three.
You're listening to Better Life for Animals podcast. Our mission is to amplify the voices of animal advocates, sanctuaries, and changemakers working toward a kinder, more compassionate world. But we can't do it alone. We need your help. First of all, go ahead and subscribe to this channel wherever you're watching or listening. And then get involved by visiting betterlifeforanimals.com. That's betterlifeforanimals.com. Be sure to check out our blog, learn more about incredible sanctuaries, and explore our book section, where 100% of net proceeds from book sales are donated to sanctuaries. Every action you take helps to make a difference. And remember, subscribe to this channel. And now, back to the show.
Then we moved here to where we are now, and we now have a huge 13 acres and many pastures. We rescued some chickens, and we have 3 ladies. They're the ladies of Shangri-La. And no, we call them the ladies of Shangri-La. And they're wonderful, absolutely wonderful. And no, obviously we're vegan. When the ladies lay their eggs, I break them immediately and feed them back to the chickens. No, we obviously do not eat them. And then let me think who came next. The goats. So we have Bonnie and Clyde, and their name fits them. They're just, Clyde is Clyde. He's a typical male goat. A sheriff called us from it wasn't so much abuse as neglect. And they had no shelter. They were not being fed or watered. And he said that he had warned the person multiple times, finally told the person he'll either take them to court or can he relinquish them to a sanctuary, and the guy agreed to relinquish them. I have videos of the day we went to get them. Oh my gosh, we got our pickup truck, backed it up as close as we could to the area where they were, got a lead rope or a rope to guide them into the truck. And they didn't hesitate. I mean, they ran so fast and jumped up into our truck. It was like they knew that they were going to a safe place. So we brought them home, and we learned about goats very quickly, that they don't like to be in one place for very long. We had to reinforce their pasture area quite a few times till they felt that they were safe and they knew that they didn't have to want to leave or get out. Next, we rescued some turkeys, and they're Penelope and Matilda. And a friend of mine, I do live out in farm country, and unfortunately, we do not live around any of them. That was a stipulation I made when we moved, that I could not live near any kind of a farm that was animal production farm. So, but we do have dairy and beef farms all over out here. And a vegan person, which is unheard of here, reached out to me and said, would you take a turkey if I rescued it for Thanksgiving? Because she was also vegan. And I said, yes, on the condition that you would get 2. I said, everybody needs a partner. So she did. She rescued 2 of them. And we hurried up and built a nice pen area for them. It's quite a large area for them. And my husband built their shed. And so we had Penelope and Matilda, and they've been here 1.5 years now. And then after that, Maisie, unfortunately, our first rescue pony, passed away 1 year ago, just right now, 1 year ago, March. She was, thank you. She was 40 years old.
Oh,
And I know she was
good life.
A long time. We had the vet out multiple times. She had an autoimmune disease, and we were giving her fluids, medications. We had multiple blood draws. We went in a Saturday morning. We had fed her, went back in to put them out to the pasture, and she was soaking wet. She was just, poor thing, was just soaking wet. She was struggling to stand. Called the vet right away, and he said, I can recommend you take her 1.5 hours away up to Cleveland, see what's going on, or, we can say goodbye. And we did the humane thing. She was old, and not that that matters, but she was sick.
Yes.
And we prayed about it, my husband and I, and we stood there, and she fell down while we were talking. And I said, no, she's telling us she wants to go. So we stood her up and we walked her out to the pasture. And the other boys were out in the front pasture. And I let them come in and I said, come on, boys. And they went up to the back pasture and they went up to her and said goodbye. And she lifted her head and whinnied at them.
Oh.
And it was amazing. And we said goodbye, and he gave her, we did it obviously very humanely. He gave her initial shot, and then and then we have her buried in the back pasture there. So we have little flowers there for her, and she's resting at peace now. So then we got this last sweetest day, Belle. And Belle is a halflinger. She is a draft pony. She is such a beautiful lady. She's won my heart over. Her human passed away about a year ago now. And the sisters of the lady that passed wanted Belle to go to a good place. So they lived 2 hours away. They came and saw our sanctuary, approved that it was a great place for her to come. Sweetest day, just this past October, we had her brought here. And she's made herself at home. There was a little back and forth between Cisco and Tatanka and her. They had to just get used to each other and establish their territory, which they have. And they all get along great. So Belle was our last rescue. And she's doing wonderful.
That's beautiful. If you're just joining us, we are speaking with Shelley Britenbucher of Shangri-La Farm Sanctuary. Shelley, I don't think many people are aware of the struggles that horses and burros face in the rescue world. Could you share what's really going on with these animals right now?
Yes, to the best of my knowledge. And it's actually unbelievable what is allowed to happen. And obviously it happens not just with horses and donkeys and burros, obviously with the other farmed animals as well. But horses are allowed to be shipped to Mexico and Canada for slaughter. And it's horrible. When you see the condition that some of them are in, my husband has gone onto the auction pages to see if we can rescue any. I will not go to auction. I will not look at the auction pictures. It's pretty unbelievable that I just saw some the other day, they knew this mare's actual birth date. And so somebody cared for her and loved her and took care of her at one time. And she was nothing but a bag of bones. And somebody just let her go, just let her starve. And they put her up for auction and said, as is, no refunds. Come and get her if you want her. I mean, my heart just broke, and I would have taken her. She was all the way out in California. She never would have made the trip across country. All I could do was pray that somebody did rescue the poor girl. I don't understand why you would have a companion animal such as a horse or a donkey or burro and not take care of them. I mean, why does any of it happen, right? Why do people not take care of their dogs or cats or anything? And I don't know why that the slaughter is still allowed. They are crammed, I don't know how many into a trailer, can't move, can't breathe, can't do anything, shipped across the border and then rendered for meat. It's pretty horrific.
I don't think that the public is aware of all of these lands that are there for everyone, how we have taken over, and there's a lot of media out there that says that we don't have room for them, and yet in fact there's plenty of room for them.
Exactly.
And I know you like to shed light on that as well.
Years ago, I worked at a place called, which you guys are probably familiar with, Best Friends.
Yes.
Animal.
Yes.
And I was out there for 2 years. at the time, they were still doing the burro roundups and the wild horse roundups, either killing them or sending them somewhere that people would take them. They put them into corrals, and I don't know how many at a time, and round them up. They airlift them. I can't even imagine the fear that these wild animals are going through and why. BLM land, or Bureau of Land Management property land, is plentiful. It's plentiful. And another subject that we can kind of touch on as far as wild animals and room to roam. A lot of people are familiar with the Assateague ponies that on the East Coast that are wild. And they were supposedly brought over by the Spaniards a couple hundred years ago and are allowed to roam free over on I think it's in Maryland, Virginia, in the East, in that section of the East Coast. That's all well and good. Every year they have a roundup of those ponies, and they make them swim from the island over to the mainland, and they auction them off. If you look at their website, I don't even know if it's on their website anymore. They talk about, oh, we might have lost one or two babies because they stampede them across the water. They have to run, and they're separated from the moms. They could care less. They just run them across the water, auction them off, and people are allowed to bid on them and take them and make them pets. It's horrific. We were there a few years ago, and the ponies themselves are great. I mean, they survive. I won't say that it's the greatest place in the world for ponies to survive, but they do somehow. But when you see what they do, it's a fireman's auction. So the firemen on the island do that and run them over to the mainland. And obviously it's, not good.
Terrible. And I'm really appreciating that we're able to shed a light on that.
Yes.
And all the animals, because these stories are just not being told.
Right. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, where I live out here, it's very hard because on our community Facebook page, I can't say anything. I cannot, people put on there, I have chickens for sale, come and get them, great freezer chickens. A month ago, somebody put on the community page that he had baby lambs. And I'm thinking, great, I'll rescue a couple. I'll go get them. Wrong. This man had about 40 baby lambs and about 60 moms. And he was obviously selling them for spring for a spring lamb. And my heart just broke. I cried for days. I wanted to say something. I wanted to go on the page and just be like, how can you do that? Why? I won't do that because I know that the small community that I live in, I would be ostracized for life. So I have to just keep my mouth shut, which is the hardest thing in the world to do.
That's just tragic. I appreciate everything that you do. And I know that the animals do, but we can only do what each of us can do. But as we talk about it, hopefully we spread the word and more people may even consider having a sanctuary. Although I don't know that you would recommend that to just anyone. I know it's quite the hard road. You have to do it out of love. What would you say to somebody who might want to be considering having a sanctuary?
I think the very first thing I would say is obviously you have to have the love for the animals. You have to be vegan. A very dear friend of mine, Annette Bragg, she had a sanctuary. She had a sanctuary here in Ohio called the name just went. Oh, Happy Trails. I'm sorry, Happy Trails Farm Sanctuary. She started it maybe 20 some years ago. She had to finally let go of doing it because she couldn't do it anymore because of all the abuses and things that she saw. She finally had to walk away. The sanctuary is still up and running. But the first thing she said to me was, Shelley, you cannot have, which I agree, you cannot have a fundraiser and serve the very animals you're trying to save on a plate. In other words, don't have chicken wings and,
Right.
whatever. So you need to be a vegan. There is a sanctuary by me. I won't say any names, but they're not a true sanctuary because she raises bees for honey. She has goat's milk that she makes soap out of. She has very little land, and she has animals just crammed onto this property that it's just not right. So you have to be a vegan. Make sure you can have enough property for all the animals you want to rescue. Unfortunately, don't try and rescue every single animal that you want to rescue. And that was a hard lesson I had to learn. It broke my heart. But I realized that I don't have maybe the land to put 15 cows on that I want to rescue. The other thing is you have to have very deep pockets, very deep pockets. You will end up funding 90% of your sanctuary yourself, unless you find somebody that is a sponsor that will sponsor you for however many animals you have every month or every so often. We were fortunate enough. We've been here 8 years now. If I had the sanctuary, somebody this past New Year's Eve in December, I opened up my email and I had a huge donation from this person. And I mean, my heart just stopped. And so after 8 years, I think I have found somebody that, could be that big donor for me. But yes, be vegan, no animal products bought or sold, and have deep pockets and enough land, and know when to say no. That's the other thing I learned from Annette. Know when to say no, even though like those baby lambs I wanted to save. She said, Shelley, if you take 5 of those lambs, he's got 30 others just waiting to be sold. Use your resources where they're most needed, where you're going to be able to use them the best.
It's just tragic.
It is.
It really only do what we can do.
Right. And that I know that I'm doing the best that I can with. I would like to say, I always want to give my husband the kudos where I can. Jeff has built, besides the barn, he didn't build that, every structure on this property for the goats, the chickens, the turkeys. Trying to think what else he built. He has built every single structure and put up fencing himself. And when I say himself, I mean, I'm the only one that's helped him. So he has been absolutely amazing. It was not his dream to do this. It was mine. He has been my rock and my guardian angel through all of this. And I'm very blessed to have him.
Let's give it up for Jeff, huh?
Yes, thank you. Yes.
I think people need to realize that as well. Not only all the things you mentioned, but that this is a manual labor existence and it never ends. And you don't get Sundays off.
No.
And I was listening to you. It's like, and you're bringing in different types of animals that you may not be an expert on. So you had to kind of learn as you go, what
Yes.
that particular breed needs and needs to thrive. And so that it's a learning curve to everything.
Very much so. And I am blessed that I have a very large global community on Facebook and so forth, that we all reach out to each other when and if we need anything and have questions. And 90% for the most part, nobody is judgmental. We all know that we've all just started from the ground up and we're learning, and we rely on each other for any help that we can give to each other. We all have different ideas, maybe on maybe different ways to do things, and that's okay. I feel as long as the animal's well-being is taken care of properly and with love, that, people can do things differently. Then we're not all going to do everything the same. I think again, the hardest thing for me is knowing that there are animals out there that I cannot save. I used to be very angry at people and ask them, well, how in the world can you justify eating meat, eating dairy? Just recently, I ironically at my hairdresser was seated next to a lady that had a beef farm. Her family raises cattle for beef. And I didn't know it. I didn't know her. And she started talking to me and she told me her name. And I said, oh my gosh, I do CrossFit with your daughter at the gym. She said, yes. And I said, great. And then she said, I realized who she was. And I'm like, oh. And she said, what? And I said, well, I'm a vegan. And she said, oh. And I'm only chuckling because we both just looked at each other and we were going to have this great conversation. And you know what? We did have a great conversation. My hairdresser told me later, she was like, I was ready for one of you to come to fisticuffs with the other one. And she said, it did my heart good. This lady and I don't want to say any names, but she and I actually talked for an hour and a half about our beliefs. She said to me, we are doing what God meant for us to do. Well, right then and there, I wanted to just explode, and I didn't. And Mariquita, if you're watching, I learned from you, my good friend Mariquita, and has worked us through on how to speak to people like that. And I just said, well, and I told her why I was vegan. And at the very end, we stood up and hugged each other, and we just gave each other this big hug. And I said, I'm glad we could talk. And while neither one of us ended up agreeing with the other one, we could still talk to each other. And maybe I planted a seed. I know
That's what
that
I'm
when
thinking.
yes.
I'm thinking
When
that you did plant a seed.
When I go to the gym, I wear this one shirt that I just had made. And this person that is part of the beef farm, I have this shirt and it says, and it has a imprint of all the farm animals, chickens, turkeys, ducks, horses, pigs, cows. And it says, never trust somebody that kills those that trust them. And I wore it to the gym and I know she saw it. And I'm thinking, maybe, just maybe, she'll think about this.
Right. Yes,
Yeah.
as you're looking them in the eye and they're looking
Right.
back.
Right.
Well, that is beautiful, Shelley. Shelley, can you tell us all how to find you and how to support
Sure.
you?
Thank you very much. Shangri-La Farm Sanctuary, all one word, .com. Shangri-La Farm Sanctuary. I'm also on Facebook under Shangri-La Farm Sanctuary. And a great way to support us, we have Venmo, and we also PayPal is wonderful. Our expenses, if I may,
Yes.
we expense out, and vet season's coming up in a couple months, but on a regular monthly basis, we expense out anywhere from $1,200 to $1,300 a month for all the feed, the hay, just the little things that we do for them. And then vet season, vet bills are usually close to $1,000 for everybody to get their annual shots. Our farrier visits run us $250 every 5 to 6 weeks. So anybody, if we, from the bottom of our hearts, appreciate donations.
Absolutely. Well, hopefully we'll get you some activity in that area.
Thank you. That would be lovely.
It has been such a pleasure.
Okay.
We have been speaking with Shelley Britenbucher of Shangri-La Farm Sanctuary, and this has been such a pleasure, and you are with Better Life for Animals.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a blessing.
My pleasure.
Thank you for joining us on the Better Life for Animals podcast. Together, we can create a world where all beings are treated with dignity, respect, and care. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe, rate, and review wherever you're listening. It helps us reach more people and spread awareness about the incredible work happening in animal sanctuaries. You can also share this episode with friends and fellow advocates to keep the conversation going. Until next time, keep speaking up, taking action, and making a difference for the animals.